The joke slipped out of my mouth before my brain had time to stop it. That was my first mistake. The second was assuming that queens, especially alien queens, understood humor the same way ordinary people did. I was never meant to speak to her in the first place. The reception hall of Virex Prime was a cathedral of light and gravity-defying architecture, its ceiling stretching into a dome of shifting stars. Delegates from dozens of systems drifted through the space, wrapped in silk robes, armored uniforms, and shimmering exosuits. I didn't belong among them. I was a cultural liaisons assistant, background staff. Invisible by design. My job was simple. Stand near the refreshment platforms, smile politely, and make sure no one accidentally offended anyone else. That plan unraveled when she arrived. Queen Aurelice of the Lithari Ascendancy entered without fanfare. No trumpets. No announcement. The crowd felt her presence before they saw her. Conversations softened. Movements slowed. Even the ambient lighting seemed to bend toward her. She looked disarmingly normal.
Tall, yes.
Graceful. Her skin held a faint iridescence, like moonlight on water, and her eyes carried a depth that made you feel examined and understood at the same time. But she wore no crown, no visible weapon, no entourage. She stopped at the refreshment platform, right in front of me. "Is this drink fermented?" she asked, lifting a crystal vessel. I swallowed. Slightly, Your Majesty." Her lips curved. "Then it is honest." She took a sip and winced. Barely. The tension cracked. Before I could think, I laughed. The sound echoed far too loudly. Several nearby delegates turned.
My heart tried to escape my chest.
The Queen glanced at me, not sharply, not angrily, but with curiosity. "You find my assessment amusing?" she asked. Yes, sorry," I stammered. "I mean, it just tastes like it's afraid of commitment." Silence. Then, impossibly, she laughed. A real laugh.
Light.
Unrestrained. "An excellent observation," she said. "You have a dangerous tongue." That should have been my cue to retreat. Instead, emboldened by terror and her amusement, I said the words that would alter the course of my life. "Well, with respect, Your Majesty," I said, gesturing vaguely, "you would make a very beautiful wife." The hall froze. Every eye snapped toward us. My blood turned to ice. I had meant it as absurdity, a compliment wrapped in obvious impossibility. Something so ridiculous it couldn't possibly be taken seriously. The Queen studied me for a long, quiet moment. Then she said, calmly, clearly, "Yes." The silence shattered. They escorted me out of the hall within seconds. Not arrested. Not restrained. Just removed. 2 royal guards guided me through corridors of flowing light while my mind replayed the moment again and again, searching for a reality where this didn't end in my execution. "She didn't mean it," I muttered. "She couldn't have." The guards didn't respond. I was led into a private chamber overlooking the city's bioluminescent sprawl. The door sealed behind me with a soft hiss. Moments later, the Queen entered alone. "You look distressed," she observed. "I proposed to you," I said weakly. "Yes." As a joke. She tilted her head. "Define joke." I opened my mouth. Closed it. Tried again. A statement not intended to be acted upon. "Ah," she said. "We do not have those." My stomach dropped. She gestured for me to sit. I obeyed, legs trembling. "In Lithari culture," she explained, "spoken intent carries weight. Words shape probability. You expressed admiration and union. That constitutes a promise." "I didn't know," I said desperately. "I know," she replied gently. "That is why I accepted." I stared at her. "Why?" "Because I need a promise untainted by ambition." She turned toward the window. My court is suffocating under expectation. Every suitor calculates power, lineage, advantage. You looked at me and saw a person. That was before I knew who you were. She smiled faintly. Precisely. The news spread faster than any official announcement. By the next cycle, half the ascendancy believed the queen had chosen a consort from beyond the nobility as a political statement. The other half believed I was an assassin, manipulator, or divine omen. I was none of those things. I was a man who'd made a joke at the wrong or perhaps right moment. The queen insisted I remain at the palace under observation. Not imprisonment. Hospitality. A dangerous distinction. We spoke often. At first, our conversations were formal. Careful. I learned about literary customs, about their reverence for spoken bonds and emotional honesty. She learned about human sarcasm, humor, and the art of saying things you didn't mean to survive social situations. She found it fascinating. You humans use false statements to reveal truth, she said once. Sometimes we use them to avoid it, I replied. Over time, the walls between us thinned. She spoke of her loneliness, of ruling an empire that revered her but never truly knew her, of being surrounded by voices that echoed what she was expected to think.
You didn't, she said.
Echo anything. I was just nervous, I admitted. Nervousness is honest. The council, however, was not pleased. They demanded clarification.
Ceremony.
Control. A union with an outsider threatened centuries of tradition. You may rescind the promise, the queen told me one night. I will not force you. I met her gaze. If I do, what happens? She was silent. Then, softly, the council will choose someone else. Someone suitable. And you. I will endure it. Something twisted painfully in my chest. The joke had faded long ago. What remained was something else entirely. I won't rescind it, I said. Her breath caught, just slightly. Then you must understand what that means, she said. A royal promise binds fate. If we proceed, there is no quiet ending. I never wanted a quiet life, I said. I just didn't know I wanted this one. The ceremony was scheduled under a sky of converging stars. The entire ascendancy watched. As I stood beside the queen, dressed in garments grown from living crystal, fear gnawed at me. Not of the crowd, not of power, of failing her. The council presented the final challenge. In accordance with tradition, the High Chancellor announced, the consort must speak a vow, not prepared, not advised. Only truth. My mouth went dry. I turned to the queen.
She didn't prompt me.
Didn't guide me. She trusted me. I don't belong here, I said, voice echoing across the hall. I don't have the bloodlines or the training or the ambition you expect. Murmurs rippled. I made a joke because I was scared. I continued, because humor is how I survive the impossible. I took her hands. But somewhere between that moment and now, the joke became a choice. And I choose you not as a symbol, not as a ruler, but as someone I want to stand beside, even when the future is uncertain. Silence. Then the queen spoke. The promise stands. Light erupted around us, ancient systems acknowledging the bond. The council knelt. Years later, I would still think about that moment, the careless words, the unexpected answer. The queen ruled differently with me at her side. Not weaker, not softer, human. We argued. We laughed. We faced rebellions and reforms and moments of doubt. And sometimes, when the palace was quiet, she would smile at me and say, "You know, you still would have made a terrible liar." I would laugh and reply, "Good thing I wasn't joking." Because when a joke turned into a royal promise, it didn't just change my fate. It changed the empire.